Welcome, my friendly acquaintance, to Fire Your Boss. This is episode 12. And I can't believe it's been 12 episodes already. My name is George Bruno. I am very interested in marketing and business and side hustles and making money, not working for the man, hence the title, Fire Your Boss. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves to the audience.
I am Jonesy from Conversion Chemistry. I was a 9 to 5er for most of my life. Now I'm not because I fired my boss, quit my job, and started a few companies. I am a marketing expert and I am a beard aficionado, right? I'm not quite the beard expert like George is, yet here I am. And definitely not as consistent as George has been now that this podcast that he created is going on 12 episodes, which is way more. That's double what Conversion Chemistry's podcast had hit. Take it away, Frank.
I'm Frank Aaron of Conversion Chemistry, as well, a formerly bankrupt tractor-trailer driver who went on to make 6 figures plus a year online. Been doing it since 1996, and I haven't shaved since last Thursday in honor of this show. I will shave immediately after this show.
Excellent.
It's scruff to beard and anywhere in between, but no smoothies allowed, no smooth faces.
Fire
I've
your
got a
boss.
hair, I've got a hair
looks like we have
too.
Looks like we got before, during, and after beard pictures here. So
You don't want to see me
somebody
with a
can take a
mustache.
screenshot.
I look like a
There we
cheap
go.
porn
Oh, come
star.
on, man.
All right, I got the screeny.
That's funny. All right. Excellent. Good. All right. So for a few minutes, let's talk about joint ventures. What is a joint venture as a way of promoting your business? I know one of our friends, Ken MacArthur, had a effort called JV Alert that lasted for well over a decade. Well over a decade. I was getting those emails for a long time. And a JV, joint venture, is just where you kind of collab with somebody in a win-win manner. What is your understanding of what a joint venture is? And how does somebody even start to enter into a joint venture? We'll start with Jonesy.
Sure. So I believe there may be actually a legal definition of a joint venture state by state when it comes to legal entities and business organizations. But like you just said, it's at its most basic level, it's a collaboration. And on a more technical or detailed term, it could be an actual legal partnership or a new legal entity that's formed from two parties, two businesses that are accomplishing something together. They have a new goal or are working together to create a new product or leverage skill sets and services to create something entirely new from both of those brands. And even before knowing you and before knowing Ken MacArthur, it's always something I've been interested in. And if I had to have a second moniker or nickname for myself after the entrepreneur solutionist, it would be the joint venture junkie, because
And that would be true.
yeah. Do we
In
see
a
the
good
hat I'm
way.
wearing? Do we see this hat I'm wearing?
Yes, corporate
Okay.
sponsored in a joint venture.
Yes, this is actual case study, living proof right here of a joint venture I'm involved with a company called Branded Lifestyles LLC, which is owned and operated by one Daniel Cooper, who is adjacent to our Impact family under Ken MacArthur. He does work a full-time job, so he hasn't fired his boss yet. However, he does what we all encourage, which is monetize your passion and your side hustle. So he created a few different apparel brands, including this Clincher Hockey, which, if I had to compare it to something, it's like what Tap Out is for MMA or martial arts douchebags. Well, Clincher Hockey is for hockey douchebags like myself. It's for beer leaguers by beer leaguers. And this joint venture happens to be Dan Cooper's vision of, what that brand represents, what it looks like, where the designs go, where they're sold, and my marketing and e-commerce skills to bring it to life.
Plus, you're the company model, evidently.
I am. The Clincher Hockey tournament, our sponsored team, is, well, we're 1-0 in tournament standings. We haven't lost, and we went 4-0 in that tournament. And I had a great tournament. So yes, I'm also the skates model, not spokes model, but skates model of
Skates
Clincher.
model. There's the appropriate
Yeah.
word. There's the appropriate word for it.
That's a good one. Excellent. Thank you, Jonesy. Frank, in your
Uh,
experience, what is a joint venture?
To me, it's a combining of assets, whether two people create one piece of, say, intellectual property digitally, somebody creates something physically, I've got a hammer, you've got a nail, that kind of thing. Or a JV can be,
Mhm.
I have a list, you have a product, let me promote my product to your list, and we will do some kind of revenue share split. However you do it, done properly, it's good business for everybody. And if he's a JV junkie, I am a JV maven. I want to be a maven today, even though it's a guy's show pretty much. I demand to be a maven today. I'm feeling my
Okay.
little feminine side here wants to be a maven today. Yes. And I love JVs, do them all the time. That's how I built my list to 100, 250,000 people was by doing joint ventures back in the day. We did a subscriber co-op where we ran one ad and we said, learn from 3 or 5 of the top internet marketers in the world. Everybody got that same subscriber, put them on your list, bam. Paid a third of the money or a fifth of the money it would have cost each of us to get a subscriber. That's just common sense and good business.
Yeah.
So as you see, a JV can take multiple forms.
Well, it's interesting. I have a brand. Jonesy has a brand. You have a brand. Okay. 3 different men representing 3 different brands. But in our joint venture, we're creating a 4th brand, a 4th entity that, could end, like, for instance, my work with Samuel Risby, the Sultan of Savage. He's got a brand that is blowing up, and I don't even know how he's doing it. And his brand is using my content, and I'm perfectly okay with that because it literally it's part of a funnel where people are put into the funnel. At least he's kind of like a marketing department, but he's getting paid for doing the arranging and the layout, and his face isn't even showing. It's just kind of amazing.
He's like an algorithm ninja.
He is. But that's a good example. It's like, I got a brand, he's got a brand, and then we have a brand. How is a joint venture different? Now that there's ways of collaborating with people. There's joint ventures. There is like strategic alliances, and there's host-beneficiary relationships. All of those 3, I mean, they're completely distinct, but we're focusing on JVs today, joint ventures. But how is a JV different than a host-beneficiary relationship? Who would like to comment on that?
So I see host beneficiary, and we talked about that on a previous episode, as there being like, I don't want to say master and apprentice type relationship, but there's definitely one dominant player there. And it's a lot of times it's location based. So we can use the Starbucks within a Target example, where the Target shopping store, the department store, is the host and the Starbucks is the beneficiary, because they get to utilize that real estate to then peddle their wares. And yes, there is mutual benefits in that, it's somebody may just be passing by for a Starbucks and now you can go shop at Target. So it brings people into Target who may otherwise not have, thus exposing to a new audience, right? But there's definitely like a percentage of where the control is.
Yeah.
Joint venture, that can be 50-50. It can be flexible. There can be specific arrangements with that. But it's usually, like you had said before, 2 entities combining to form something new, rather than, an easement or sharing of space or sharing of resources where one is, a piece of the other. It's like a Venn diagram almost. That's the distinction I see.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, like, when I go to Home Depot, like on a Saturday or Sunday, there's a guy with a hot dog cart outside the entrance.
He's at every Home Depot.
Probably, I mean, he probably pays a little bit. Home Depot brings him the business that he would never get any other way, and he probably pays a small rent for the day. Who knows? And people who haven't eaten yet or are working hard, the weekend warriors. I mean, there's nothing like getting a hot dog or 2 from a hot dog cart and a soda, for $5, and that's all he does all day long. But his business,
sheetrock and a sausage, it's a great way to spend the Saturday at Home Depot.
Yeah. So, but he's the beneficiary. Home Depot is the host.
Host, absolutely. Yeah, and I would have defined it exactly the same way Jonesy did, as one something that sits within another entity or enterprise and feeds off of, in a good way, or benefits from the host. And again, the host gets their own benefits, as you say, Jones. You're in the Home Depot or whatever. For me, it used to be the guys at the off ramp of 95 South at the Tacony Palmyra Bridge selling the pretzels in a bag,
Yeah.
5 for $1.
Yeah.
And that's a cheap lunch. It keeps you moving until you get to have your real lunch. I don't even know, are those guys still down there? I'm not sure. Like at the bottom of the bridges and exit ramps and stuff in Philly.
I haven't seen those guys in years. Years. I mean, now that I think about it, I'm not sure. Interesting.
I will have to go over to Coney Palmyra on a weekday then and find out. I'll get back to you guys. That'll be some
Yeah.
field research.
I'm
Sure.
holding you to that. We're going to do a random check-in to make sure that you're sticking by your word there. Accountability
A-
check.
Absolutely. And I'm also thinking of not shaving for a week or two just so I can feel like I can fit in on this show. The bearded
Nice.
wonders, as I call the both of you.
That's
That's
gonna
right.
crush the continuity of the conversion chemistry modules.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
After we
right.
film, then I'm going to get a crew cut and
That's
grow a
funny.
beard and see what I look like.
That's funny. All right. And then the third way that is kind of similar, but has its own elements, is the strategic alliance, where two businesses are coming together, two professional individuals are putting their heads together and creating an alliance. Give us an example of a strategic alliance, and how is it different than a host beneficiary relationship?
Well, for one, I think it's more equal. The power is shared. I might have an audience of plumbers, you might have an audience of carpenters. Together, we form an alliance that recommends whatever tools or services each one of us have. It's almost co-branding in a sense, I would say, and that's the way I would relate it personally. Um, More formal and bigger than a JV, may arguably more permanent too, or longer lasting. And I would also say it's way bigger, way more equal than a host beneficiary type of a deal. What do you say, Jonesy?
Yeah, I see a strategic alliance as being more loose in the formulation and the structure compared to a JV, which in my mind, even if it doesn't have a legal entity, there really is a new legal or new brand involved with a new product and solution versus a strategic alliance being um, sharing of the resources to further both sides. And since my hungry ass always goes back to food, I'm gonna my first job in high school was working at McDonald's, and I'm thinking about the McDonald's and Coca-Cola relationship. They go hand in hand. There was just massive amounts of co-branding that I noticed even as a kid. Um, the prominence in the lobby, the commercials, uh, even just in on-premise branding and point of sale materials. It was always Big Mac and a Big Mac and a Coke, Big Mac and a Coke, quarter pounder and a Coke. So yeah, I mean, co-branding is probably one of the perfect examples like that. And then I'm thinking even within,
Excellent.
my
I like that.
market,
Well,
my small business marketing, like even, doing some campaigns or websites or whatever, um, using national brands to showcase local service providers. And yeah, some of them they are on paper partnerships. Some of it may just be, hey, we happen to carry this brand. But for instance, a local countertop company who deals with Corian, the solid surface countertop maker. All of their materials are prominently displayed within that showroom, right? And you got Wilson Art for laminates, you got some granite, but Corian is just one of the bigger names I can think of where they create strategic partnerships with boots on the ground local service providers in that space.
Agreed. That makes a lot of sense the
love
way
it.
you explain it.
Well, and we will dive into this further as ways to market your business, joint ventures, host beneficiary relationships, and strategic alliances. And if people want to coach with you at conversionchemistry.com, they can reach you at that website, conversionchemistry.com, the contact information, if they want one-to-one marketing coaching. And I I'm not going to blow your cover yet, but I know you're working on kind of a group coaching kind of thing. So